Hey there, good afternoon, and welcome to Prog Monster, a site dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock music. My name is Murph, and I'm the host. Okay, it's Monday night look backs at a classic album. This is the third installment of my April progressive rock album month. We did Rush the first week with Signals, their transitionary album from progressive rock to heavy synth rock. Then we did Yes with Tornado, which was a kind of a transitionary album as well. Basically John Anderson and Rick Wakeman were out the door, and Trevor Horn and Jeff Downs from the Buggles were in. So a kind of another transition. This one is also a transitionary album. It's the transition from, it's the group Genesis. This is the album The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. This one, I'm trying to get it on an angle so you can see it. There it is. This is the last studio album that Genesis did or has done with Peter Gabriel, and they moved on to Phil Collins as their lead vocalist. He was currently the drummer only in this band, although he did do quite a bit of harmonizing vocals with this group. So anyways, we're here to talk about The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, which many people feel is Genesis' biggest album, their best album, their grand achievement. I'm not going to argue with any of those facts. It may very well be. I don't personally, it's not my personal favorite of the Genesis album. It actually doesn't even make my top 5. And I think the reason being is that when you go from Trespass to Nursery Crime to Foxtrot to Selling England by a Pound, and then if you skip over this album and you go Trick of the Tail and Wind of the Wuthering, there's a natural progression. The albums just tend to get, they all seem to be of the same kind of mix, I guess is the best way to put it. Where this album is outside of that. It's different than the other ones. It's not a bad album by any stretch, but I like that progression, and it was just kind of outside the progression. So even though I like the album, it doesn't fall into the natural progression for me, which goes Trespass, Nursery Crime, Foxtrot, Selling England by the Pound, which I like each of those a little better than its predecessor. And then we get to Trick of the Tail, which I like even more than that. Wind of the Wuthering is a little bit down, but it's a similar type album. And so, you know, for me, those albums are all great. This album is good. You know, I know some people won't understand that, but you know, everybody hears things differently. What you hear in music, you hear in music. I grew up listening to these albums, so as time has gone on, each of them has had a different effect on me based on when it got listened to by me. This one was the last of the albums of those albums that I listened to, mostly because it was more expensive. I didn't have a lot of money as a young person, and then later I just kept missing it or not getting it. They wouldn't have it. It was hard to find. Then one day I was looking for Tales of the Topographical Ocean from Yes, and the guy happened to have this as well, so I took both. So there you go. It also, to me, I think is a bit too long. I'm not a huge double album person, other than the Kiss Alive double album. Most of the double albums I've never been really keen on. I think this is amply explained by others that it's a good 3-side album. There's about the 4th side we could do without. If this had been a single album and they'd crammed all the best songs on it, it would have been great, but it wouldn't have worked because it is a concept album and all the songs tied together. So I've grown on it. It's grown on me over the years. I like it quite a bit. But anyways, we're going to get into it now that I've said all that. The album was released November the 19th, 1974. Studio was Glasplant Manor in Wales. Album is like 94 minutes or so long. It was on Charisma and Adco. I think my particular copy is, yeah, my particular copy is, I believe, on Atlantic. But anyways, those were the two labels, and it's produced by John Byrnes and Genesis. Sorry, I'm just gonna cough. Okay, the band is featured as Peter Gabriel vocals, Phil Collins drums and percussion, Tony Banks keyboards, Mike Rutherford bass, and Steve Hackett guitar. Now each of them plays a variety of different instruments within their categories on this album, and some really good talented stuff here too. Okay, so I've put all the songs on boards here so that I can refer to them. That way I can talk about each of the songs. So I go track by track. The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, which is the opening track, is iconic. It's an iconic song. One of their best and most well-known songs by the group. I like it quite a bit. It's always probably been close to or at the top of my favorites on this album. The next song out, Fly on a Windshield, another really good song. It's got that kind of whining guitar that Steve Hackett is so good at doing. And he also does a heavy background guitar on this particular track too that really suits it well. The Broadway Melody, which is a brief interlude, and then you follow that up with Cuckoo Coconut, or Cuckoo, I think it's Cuckoo Coconut, but I'm not sure. Let me see what it says on the album. Oh, Cocoon. I wrote Coconut. I do not know why I did that, but it's Cocoon. Anyways, Gabriel's voice is seems a little bit filtered on this particular song. There's a few tracks on this album where it seems filtered. What I mean filtered is they've taken it and they've added some kind of a grainy sound to it, I guess, a whiny sound, I guess. Maybe it's the recording itself, I'm not sure, or perhaps it's just the system I'm listening to it on. That's at least possible. The next track out is In the Cage, which is probably one of their great tracks, one of their best songs, I think. It builds steadily and just gets stronger as this album goes along. The bass is a pulse on this album. It gives this song a real feel, and I think the keyboards are quite good on this song as well. So The Cage is probably, I would say, it's probably my favorite track on this album. Yeah, probably my favorite track. There's a few others I like quite a bit, but I think this one probably tops the pack. The Grand Parade of Lifeless packaging. I better read it because I wrote it and I probably didn't write it. Yeah, that's it. What I said was right. And it's another song that's got that kind of filtered vocals. Strong session of music, like it gets stronger as the song goes along. Really good tune. I like it quite a bit too. Back in New York City, keyboard riff is very memorable. He does a keyboard on a solo kind of memorable part on here that's so really good. The Hairless Heart, the keyboard and guitar intro, just a small bit into Counting on Time, which is a good song, and he plays a little bit of I think he plays a little bit of harpsichord here. It doesn't say anything about it, but I'm pretty sure it sounds like harpsichord to me in the beginning of the song and throughout the song. As well as some heavy guitar riffs on here. So we're going to move on to, I'm just going to move the board over so I can see it. Carpet Crawlers. You have to forgive me, my throat's a little sore again today. Piano intro is really good on this song. A very classic Genesis song. It has that classic Genesis feel. This particular song, from all the songs on the album, I think could fit onto any of the other previous albums that they did. It would have fit in fairly nicely on most of them, I think. And it's also one of their greatest hits too, I think. Chamber of 32, 32 Doors, sorry. Some good guitar bits on this, some good prominent drumming on this. The dual vocals of Gabriel and Collins is really good. They harmonize very well on this particular song. I love it a lot. So we're going to move on to disc 2, which is, on this it's 2 discs. On the original it was 2 albums with 2 sides each. But this is the second disc. I don't think this disc is nearly as good as the first disc. The first disc is probably stacked with all the best songs, but they follow in a progression, so this is the way it goes. So the next one is Lily White Lilithum. I can never say that. Guitar riff is spectacular on this song. Gabriel's voice gives so much emotion to this particular track. I think this may be one of the better tracks on this disc. The Waiting Room, it's just a lot of weird, it starts off with these lot of weird kind of electronical noises, and then at the start, and then it makes this kind of a whining cat noise that goes on for a bit, and then some piano noises in the background. So it's a lot of different sounds. I don't think of them sounding anything like Pink Floyd. I don't think there's any Pink Floyd sounding here at all, but they do some of the Pink Floyd stuff, like adding weird noises and stuff, which is, not totally uncommon from progressive bands, but not something that Genesis does a lot of. The next song, Anyway, is a piano intro, which leads into Here Comes the Supernatural. Now I'm going to get this wrong. And now Cathelist. I'm not going to get it. And Anathelist. I'm not sure what that means or even how to pronounce it, so we'll skip to what it's about. The guitar is, in this case, again, very, very attractive, very appealing type guitar. Droning you in, like pulling you in. The vocals are a little bit chipped on this song, I think, which means that they're broken up a bit. The next song out, The Lemon, I like this song quite a bit too. Great piano vocal bit to start, and then it's vocally dominated for the rest of the song. It's really, really good track. Silent Sorrow and Empty Boats, a very strong synthetic opening, like a synthesizer opening on this particular track. Then we get to the I flip over so I can get to my other songs. The Colony of Slippermen, and it has like 3 sub areas: the Arrival, the Visit to the Doctor, and the Raven. It kind of starts out with this kind of oriental bit at the beginning. I'm not sure if it's guitar oriented or keyboard oriented. I think it's probably more keyboard oriented. The guitar and the keyboards, the drums, and the vocals all kind of bounce along, I think. The keyboards are dominant, of course, in this particular song. Very memorable solo. It's one of their most memorable solos. Probably the best one on this album, I think. Okay, and then we get to Ravine. Ravine is just an eerie, windy keyboard bit. That's the best way to describe it. I don't mind it. It kind of sets up the next song again. They like to do that a lot on this album. They put a little bit that sets up the next song. Excuse me for a second. The next song, of course, is The Light Lies Down on Broadway. It's very similar to the open track, just a little bit of differences. Kind of a concluding bit, I think. I like the song, though. It's good. Riding the Scree. Very odd keyboard bit. Almost like a wazoo. He does this kind of weird... It's a really weird noise. It sounds like a wazoo to me. The second last song on the album, In the Rapids, quiet guitar with a vocal bit, and then the final song, It, winds up. Song reminds me of the end of Wind and the Wuthering with What Gorilla. I don't think they really sound too much alike, but it just kind of gives me that same feeling I get at the end of that album as well. So there you have it. The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway by Genesis. A good album. For me, it's a good album. For many people, it's a great album. And many people will cite this album as their favorite Genesis album. I'm not disputing that. At least it's not my favorite personally. It doesn't make the masterpiece list for me, and the reason it doesn't, and it might at some point in the future, but I have only had it for about a year. In order to be a masterpiece album with me, you got to have at least 5 years in, you know. So although you can be a strong number one, but to me, if you're still like pushing the envelope when you get to after 5 years, you can make the masters list. And I suspect this could probably make it. It takes more to get into than some of the others, and I think that's basically because it's a little bit longer, and it has a few more tracks that I think are a little bit more fillerish than you would get on a normal one disc Genesis album, at least from that era. So there you have it. Monday night's look back at a classic rock album. Tonight's was Genesis, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. We have one more of these to do for April, which will take place the last April of the last Monday, or next Monday, not this one, next one. And that will be from Jethro Tull, and I've chosen the what album did I choose? Oh, okay, sorry. I've been listening to a lot of Jethro Tull, but I couldn't remember which one I picked. It was actually A Minstrel in the Gallery, which I think is a really fantastic album. I don't know if it's of a transitionary at all. It could be considered a transitionary album, but I don't really think so. So we'll be doing that one next Monday, and that will close out my progressive April, my progressive look back at classic rock song albums for April, which is the progressive month. And next month I might do another theme. I haven't decided yet. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed this album. If you haven't had a chance to listen to it, it's well worth a listen to. And I hope you have a good day. If you like the video, like and subscribe. Leave your comments if you have any comments about what I've said, or any comments about this album in particular, what you like, what you don't like, that kind of stuff. I'm interested in hearing. So there you have it. Progressive Monday night look back at the progressive album of Genesis, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. So you have a good night. Like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.